Hi, it's the People Mentor, and it's lovely to be here with you again. It's been a while, so I'm delighted to have Sadhna Chaman and Mia names, as we all know. I always struggle, but I'm sure I've said that right this time. I want to introduce you to her. I've watched Sadhna on LinkedIn for a long time, and her posts fascinate me. So I'm really pleased to have Sadhna here. Sadhna, introduce yourself and let's hear a bit more about you and your business.
Thank you. Firstly, Nicola, thank you so much for having me today. I'm delighted to be here having this conversation with you. So yes, I'm Sadhna Chaman. I'm a homeopath and a mind-body transformation specialist. And you must think, well, what does that mean? Well, basically, I offer a range of therapies that align the mind with the body, from Reiki healing, reflexology to homeopathy to energy work with, aligning the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind with the conscious. So it's all about aligning the mind-body connection. So that's what I do.
I'd forgotten about the homeopathic, and so I must talk to you separately about that on another occasion because I find that fascinating and it can make such a difference as well. But all of the bits that you do kind of balance you out, don't they?
They really do. They really do balance you out, Nicola, on the mental, emotional, and physical level. And it's incredible because we are connected. You know, the mind is connected with the body, and we can't, as much as we have specialists in the conventional way of treating, gastroenterologists, cardiologists, which are all amazing specialisms. Um, but at the end of the day, we are created whole. We're a whole person. So, the mind and the body is so intrinsically connected that for me, it's very difficult to just address the mind or the body without the other. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And thinking about this, and thinking about as a leader and a manager and somebody in the workplace, you need to be balanced to be able to cope. And when you're out of balance, that's when you start to feel ill, when your emotions come up. So it's really important that you do some work around this, I always think. So I think this will be particularly beneficial for anybody listening around leadership and management and working in even an employee in the workplace. It's going to help them as well because there are a lot of stresses and strains in the workplace, aren't there? And if you don't always feel that you're in the right place at the right time, perhaps you're looking to change your jobs, you could be struggling as well, with that stress. So getting yourself balanced is really key. So I'm intrigued around, you talk about your personal journey with chronic illness and how it transformed your own health, which is really amazing, and then it inspired you to help others do the same. So do you want to tell us a story around that, because I'm really intrigued?
Yeah, so really the chronic illness for me, the diagnosis came much later in life. I think the desire to help others stemmed from a very early age, probably around the age of 8. And when I used to help my mother go through her health issues, she used to visit a lady on our road who would take her tummy pains away. And she used to use a special technique to do that, and I used to go with her. Being so young, she couldn't leave me at home, so I used to watch this lady massage my mum's tummy pain away. So if my mum got that sort of feeling again, that sensation, she would ask me at home if I could help her, and I slowly learnt the technique by watching, and I would take my mum's tummy pain away. And at the
Wow.
same time, mum was going through perimenopause, which I now realise I didn't know at the time. And at the same time, simultaneously, my mum lost her mother, my nan. So she was dealing with grief and perimenopause and these tummy symptoms all in one. Um, And I then realized that I made a difference to my mum's health and I could take her pain away. And that made me feel so good. And I thought, wow, I can, help her. And I think that's where the spark ignited to help others. But it was a long journey moving on from that. Eventually, I went into HR. That's what I specialized in. So I worked in personnel management, as it was called in those days. Did
Yeah.
that for 7 years. But alongside, I trained in reflexology. That was my first therapy in 1994. And then I went on to study Reiki healing and homeopathy. So that took me another 5 years. So really, sort of from 2005 onwards, everything came together.
Mm,
But while I was studying homeopathy, I had two young children, I had a home to run. I was working part-time, and looking after
mm,
my parents as well and all the stresses they were going through. That is when I didn't realize, but I started to fall really. I didn't feel right. I felt unwell. And one day I thought, I've got to go to the doctors about this. And I said to my GP, I really don't feel right. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I know I'm not right. Something's not right. And he said, you're just working too hard, Mrs. Chaman. You need to slow down. I said, it's more than that. I'm only 30 something. I
mm.
should be able to cope. Because I loved every area of my work, every area of my life, every aspect. So anyway, he did a blood test, and within 24 hours, he came back to me and said, can you come back in the surgery? And that's when he diagnosed me with hypothyroidism. So I had an underactive thyroid, and he put me on medication straight away. And I took it because I was desperate. And I took it for a while, but as I was still studying homeopathy and understanding how the thyroid works, the body works, the mind works, the more I realized that this is much deeper than just a diagnosis. I want to get to the root of this. Why have I got this? I eat healthy, I exercise, I'm generally happy, exceptionally busy in my life, but I'm only 30 something. I should be able to cope you know? So
Mhm.
that is when I put myself on this journey of healing. So I thought before I help others, I've got to fill my own cup first.
Definitely.
And yeah, and that is when I put myself on this. I committed to myself. I declared to myself, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And and it took me a long, long time because, stresses are always firing at us,
Yeah.
in life. That is life. So, lots of ups and downs in life, but, I feel that, by committing to myself, I got to the bottom of what I was going through with homeopathy, naturopathy, with all the things that I put liver and gallbladder flushes, you name it, I did it. Supplementation. And then the icing on the cake, I feel, was all the energy work that I do. That once I experienced that for myself, I'd got to the root of everything on an energetic level um,
Mm.
the blocks that were preventing me. And now, I mean, I feel great. I still have to look after myself like everyone else. And I think the bigger point for me was the turning point for me was if this is how I'm feeling in my 30s
Mm.
with my hormones, what am I going to be like in my menopausal years?
Mhm.
And that is when the realization kicked that Sadhana, you've really got to sort yourself out because it's all hormones, right? So I've got to sort my hormones out through all the decades that I've got between now and menopause. And now I'm post-menopause. So,
So I'm intrigued. With your thyroid, did you manage to get off medication?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Oh well, I
I,
need to talk to you because I'm on medication, been on it for quite a few years. So that's quite interesting. So yeah. So and you actually made me think the story of your mother and her stomach. You took me back to a lot of years ago when I used to get lots of what I would term is IBS. It was never properly diagnosed because doctors never seem to. They just say, oh, you're stressed, you've got a lot, like you say, you've got a lot on. And I was running an operational team, and I was really, really busy, lots of pressure, lots of targets to hit that we were struggling with, not enough staff, you name it. And I can remember having really bad pains and going and having somebody who would massage my stomach for me, you know, a beautician type person. And that always used to feel like a relief. So I can imagine for your mum, it must have really helped. And it's funny because you don't hear about anybody doing that now. And I remember going to a spa about 10 years ago, and they had a treatment for around that area. And when I went back the next time, they'd stopped it. So,
Oh,
which was really sad, wasn't it? Because
yeah.
there are an awful lot of women who could do with that kind of treatment. And it's not a treatment that's sort of discussed, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. But it's so important because we store so much in the gut. It's our second brain. So,
Mm,
a lot of the times I see that when people are constipated, for instance, they're holding on to their stool. So what are they holding on to in their life that they don't need anymore? What do they need to let go of? Because I'm sure you realize you've experienced this too. When you're relaxed, you'll have a really good bowel movement, and when you're not, you tighten up. The whole body tightens up. So the mind and the body is so connected, really
mm.
is.
Yeah, I don't think we still understand enough about the gut and how it's like it is our second brain. And I really don't think we are tapping into that enough. And I think there's a lot of people out there who could really help themselves just simply by taking prebiotics, or however you say it. Again, another word I can't say. But I think things like that and looking at what you're eating, etc. It's such a minefield, though. It's knowing what's right and what isn't. So you've really got to find somebody you can trust, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, trust is essential because
Yeah.
you've got to be able to have these open
Mm,
conversations in a very non-judgmental way because you're talking about the most intimate parts of your life, aren't you?
you are. Yeah, you're right. So, how does your approach help people overcome the stress, anxiety, and the trauma that they're either going through or have had in their past? And as well, the role of the mindset in healing the body, because I'm sure I know the difference in me from my mindset being positive to when I'm having one of those days, and we all have those days now and then where we feel really dragged down. Mondays are usually mine, and I can't work out why. So, funnily enough, this afternoon it's picked up, luckily. So,
Oh, oh, yeah, no, that's right. And so how do I help the mindset? Is that what your question was?
yeah.
There's a number of ways I help mindset. I mean, I practice lots of hands-on therapies. I have a couch in this room. So, reflexology, Reiki healing, which is all about aligning the energy within the body. But the biggest part of my work tends to be homeopathy. So, natural medicine. So natural medicine looks like, oh, you probably can't see, but in these glass bottles, you've got little white pills.
Yeah.
So that's the homeopathic medicine that I give. And also I do a lot of work with the mind, the unconscious mind. So as a homeopath, if somebody comes to me for a condition, whether it's IBS or migraines or, hormonal issues, I try to understand them as a whole person, mentally, emotionally, as well as their physical
Hmm.
symptoms. And the more they share with me, the better it is. And then I go to one of my books behind me, and I look at remedies that match the totality of their whole picture, mental, emotional, physical. So if two people came to me for migraines, for instance, I would be giving very different
Hmm.
remedies to them based on their unique characteristics. So yeah, so that's the homeopathic side. And then the energy work I do, I
Mm.
mean, we're energy beings at the end of the day. So this work is incredibly powerful, and it's the transformation that you see in a person is instant in many cases. So, we're working on the unconscious level. So the conscious part of our mind is the day-to-day thinking, feeling, being, the to-do list,
Yeah.
I've got this to do and that to do, I've got this place to go and that place. But the unconscious mind is, I call it the emotional GPS system. So it's driving our conscious reality, and it's 95% of our mind is what research shows. And that all stems quite often from the thoughts, beliefs that we created and the experiences from our childhood, usually before the age of 7, but
Mm.
it may even be before that. It may have been when we were in our mother's womb. It could even be before that. It could be, if you believe in past lives or previous generations, we could be carrying these patterns through the generations and passing them on to future generations. So this work is about releasing and letting go everything that you no longer need in your life.
Yeah.
Letting go of the emotional baggage that we're carrying that we're not even aware of,
Mm.
but is dictating the way, the patterns and the thoughts, the beliefs, the actions that we're taking in our current life right now. It's letting go of that in order to bring in everything that you desire in your life. Whatever that could be health, that could be financial success, relationships, love. It could be anything. We don't know what's holding us back.
Yeah. And I can think back certainly when I had a few um, difficult conversations with people and around perhaps their behavior in the workplace. Often when you drilled down with them, it went back to their childhood, and it was things that they were completely oblivious to. And it wasn't until you asked those questions and started drilling down what was behind it all, that it would come out. And so it's helping those kind of situations as well, could make a big difference to their career, to how they're doing, their personal relationships. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. How you cope with stress, how motivated you feel, your self-confidence, your self-belief, self-esteem,
Mm.
all these things, they do stem from how we are feeling at our deepest level, at our
Mm.
essence. And I feel that if leaders, in order to lead teams, we have to start at the top, because if the leaders can address their emotional resilience and the way they cope with
Mm.
situations and deal with their inner stuff,
Yeah.
then, as energetic beings, we are um, emitting energy into the workplace. So if we feel good, other people are going to sense it. If we're stressed, if we come into work stressed, other people are going to pick that up in the team. And it's going to have a knock-on effect on everybody else. So,
Absolutely.
so it's so important to do the inner work, regardless of whether you work in a team, an organization, for yourself, for our children. um, this inner work is just so deep and so profound and
Mm.
so important.
Yes, because I can think of many occasions where I would have managers, leaders come into the workplace who were clearly not in the right mindset and the right frame, and their energy was dipped, and others would pick up on it, and it would affect the whole floor that we were on, and it really does have an impact. And people often don't see it themselves though until somebody tells them.
Yeah.
And I think that if they're feeling constantly down, like they haven't got the energy levels, then they owe it to themselves at the very least to perhaps do some work around that.
Yeah, absolutely. It all
Yeah.
starts with us, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does. Definitely. Yeah.
Mm.
So you've mentioned helping people with various health issues from tennis elbow to eczema and hay fever. So so presumably all these things that you're talking about address a wide range of conditions. So would you use one particular one for a condition, or would you use a variety of them for any
Okay.
condition?
I think these are the reviews and testimonials that appear on my Google review account and LinkedIn. So with these particular clients, they were all homeopathic clients. They came to me for help with homeopathy.
All right.
So
Okay.
yeah. And so with the homeopathy, quite often I give herbs as well. And these are herbs prepared the homeopathic way. So they really resonate with me and they work really well with the homeopathy. So the homeopathy is the diluted form of the original substance. This is what science can't get its head round, scientists, is, it's so diluted that there is hardly anything of the original substance left, but the energy, the healing properties of that substance is what's healing the person on an energetic level. So homeopathy is energy medicine, really. And the herbs are more of the original substance. So they taste a little bit herby, not as strong as like Chinese medicine, that's quite strong, but a slight touch of herbal,
Mhm.
you can taste the herbs. So that's more of the original substance, whereas homeopathy is more of the diluted substance. So
So
that's what I used for tennis elbow and for the
yeah,
other
'cause it's
ailments.
interesting because a couple of years ago I had a major operation and I hemorrhaged, and through the fact that I hemorrhaged twice, they discovered that there was something wrong with my blood. It was too thin, really, but they couldn't identify exactly what it was. I went for testing, etc., and then I did get some homeopathic medication aimed at the spleen.
Okay,
And when I next went for my test, they were fine,
amazing.
isn't it?
Yeah, isn't that just amazing?
Yeah,
So, although we can't always explain it, but we know it works and
yeah.
it just works phenomenally. And I love homeopathy. I really do. My father was a homeopath too.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so he was a homeopath.
Yeah,
So that,
I think I tell a story of I was going for my first promotion and it
mm,
was in a different office, and I was really uptight about it, really worried about starting it, whether I was up to it. So I went to our local homeopathic person and they made me up a tincture. Okay. And I went and took this tincture. Well, I was well out of it. And I couldn't get over how I was so zoned out, almost flat. I was like, what's that? And then I read the instructions and there was a minute amount of Valium in it as well. And I was like, oh,
oh,
that's what was in that. So, I mean, obviously they weren't true homeopathics because they would never have put that in there normally.
no.
But I was like, oh, so I stopped it after that. But I was fine from then onwards, weirdly. So it did have the desired effect, but I was like, my goodness. So I always talk about if you're really uptight, you'll get through it, you'll get there. So now I would talk about things like breathing and meditations and things like that, because I think they do help you in your mindful leadership. So I think that would help. And I wouldn't necessarily say about homeopathic unless I was sending them to somebody like you now, who I know use genuine. So yeah, there you go. That's a story and a half, isn't
Oh
it?
gosh, it is. Yeah, that doesn't sound nice at all.
No, it wasn't. So what sets your approach apart from other health and wellness programs?
My health and wellness programs. Yeah, I've got some really, really powerful programs that I deliver. So I have an online program called Reinvent Your Life Online, and that is 6 sessions over Zoom like this, where you can really, like, as it says on the tin, reinvent your life online. So I see a lot of clients that, have quite serious a serious history of whether it's heartbreak or, problems with relationships or abuse or ritualized abuse from childhood, or just basically they're lost in life, you know, they don't know where they're heading, they're stressed, they need direction, they're at a crossroads in their life, you know, and they need to make some big decisions in their life, whether it's with their health, whether it's with their career, their relationships, you know, so we're working on the energetic level here. And what we're doing is with each session, there's 6 sessions. So the first session is it's where I'm using timeline therapy, which is basically releasing all the stored negative emotions on the unconscious level. So the anger, the sadness, the fear, hurt, guilt and shame on the unconscious level. So that can take up to 2 hours. And we're talking just like this. It's not hypnotherapy. The person is completely awake and conscious, but you know, we're just tapping into other levels of our brain waves, and it's
Yeah.
amazing what you can release and let go of.
Mm.
So, and after that, it's about letting go of procrastination, anxiety, limiting beliefs, all the things that could be possibly holding back, and we're addressing it at the root cause. And quite often it is from childhood, where we create a lot of our beliefs, you know, that I'm not loved, or I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve, and you know, all those kind of things. Or it could be through all the experiences that we've been through in life,
Yeah.
you know, and we create so many beliefs. Our thoughts are so powerful. And then, you know, after we've done all 5 sessions, it's now that you've released everything you no longer need in your life, you've got this beautiful space to create. So what is it that you want to bring into your life? And if I ask that question right at the beginning, quite often people don't know. They don't
Yeah.
know what they're looking for. They can't see beyond today. Their vision is clouded by the circumstances they're in or the emotions that they're experiencing. But yeah, so that's my one-to-one program.
Mm.
And then I have a VIP intensive one day accelerate your life in one day, which is in a hotel setting. And then I have this new program that's coming out on the 22nd of July called Optimize Your Life, Discover Your True Self. And that's my first group online program that I'm
Oh,
so excited about.
oh, it sounds fantastic. And I quite like group programs because it's a bit like when you do brainstorming in a work environment, you bounce off each other, and
Yeah,
so you gain so much from it, don't you?
you absolutely do. And, you know, you're in a safe container with others, respecting each other's, you know, circumstances, privacy and everything. And yeah, you can learn. Quite often we have the same questions coming up, so we learn from each other, don't we?
Yeah, we
Um,
do. We do. It's amazing. And often people are frightened of asking that question. So if just one person asks it, it then, as you say, the others will have that question on their mind as well. And you've got it answered. So it's a win-win situation for everybody.
it
So
is.
yeah, so that sounds brilliant. And so do share the details and we can put that in the links in the YouTube description. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicola.
Okay. So yes, so you've told me about that. So what about when people feel stuck or unfilled in life? And I think you kind of touched on that with the 2 programs that you've just discussed. But if they were working with you on an individual basis, how would you help them find clarity, purpose, and joy in their lives?
Okay. So, you know, it depends which service people are drawn towards. So some may come to me for homeopathy. Others might not want to take medicine. Some people don't like taking medicine, even if it's natural. They just rather get through things. So they may feel more drawn towards one of my programs. Others may come in with for homeopathy, but then go on once they've got to know me a little bit, then they're willing to try the programs, you know, so it's like the next step.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think underneath all the layers that we're holding on to is love. Okay, I think at our essence, we are pure love. Above that, we have all these emotions and experiences that, you know, are creating layers. So, you know, whether it's the anger or the frustration or the resentment that's stealing our joy, or the hurt or the fear or the guilt, you know, that's stealing our joy and fulfillment. So once you really start to
Mm.
unravel those layers, you know,
Mm.
a person can really transform the way they think, feel, act, and they
Mm.
can really get to the root of who they really are,
Mm.
which is love. And that's when, you know, when you're feeling love and giving love and serving with love, whether it's to the lady at the checkout till in Tesco's, or whether it's a little child walking on the street or an elderly person, when you get to that point where you see love, you feel love, that's so joyful, you know, because you're just getting to the root, the core of you, which is that's who you are. So when you start to sort of, that's when the joy comes into your life and fulfillment, whether that's in your workplace or whether that's your relationships or whether it's the job that you do or the business that you run, or, you know, every aspect of your life changes when your energy changes.
Yeah, it sounds like you almost uncloud, you know, you remove the mist, the screen that's
Yeah.
across, so people know themselves better.
Absolutely. And you know what happens, Nicola? When you raise your energy, when you raise your vibration, your frequency, through raising your energy and the way you feel and the way you think and the way you act, those people that are no longer aligned to you, because you're rising, yeah?
Yeah,
When you rise, people will either be drawn towards you or they will be repelled because they're not matching your energy and
yeah,
frequency. And I've seen that so many times, that actually the people that used to bother me are just not in my radar anymore, or I'm not in their radar because we're just not aligned anymore. And that happens in every aspect of your life.
yeah,
It's like you become so clear, like you said, so clear and so focused about where you're going in life, that you can just separate everything else that's not serving you.
yeah, absolutely. And certainly over the last year, I felt like I've been doing that a little bit. I'm still not where I want to be, but you kind of know in yourself as you're clearing that away. It's almost, I suppose it's like the values of the people that you're mixing with. And
Yeah.
if this doesn't feel right, and so
Mhm.
some of the things that I've been involved in, I've like, no, this isn't right. So I've pulled away. And it's subconscious almost, isn't it? It's not necessarily that you can pinpoint,
Yeah.
but there's just signs that you know. If something doesn't
Yeah.
feel right for you, you should be listening to your gut instinct.
Absolutely, completely. It is signs, and those feelings are so strong. So it's about knowing yourself again,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's about finding yourself, knowing yourself, discovering more things about yourself and what's
Yeah.
true to you.
Yeah. No, really helpful. Thank you. Looking at the final question, in your experience, what are the most common obstacles people face when trying to improve their health and well-being?
Obstacles, I would say, firstly, they've lost hope, hopelessness. Also, belief. I think it's having the belief that actually I can get better or there is another way.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so belief in there is a possibility that I can get better,
Yeah.
but also belief in themselves. So that's two interchangeable but separate things. So yeah, is there another way for me? You know, it's about the obstacles. It's about opening your mindset. It's about looking beyond what you know already. But quite often it's this logical mind keeps us stuck in a loop. You know, as
Yeah.
soon as we start to think beyond what we know already, the mind becomes expansive and the opportunities come.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think belief is huge.
Yeah. So for anybody who's struggling with persistent health issues or feeling lost in life, what would be your first piece of advice to start that journey? And then if you want to share your links so everybody knows where to find you.
So I think anybody who's feeling lost in life, believe that there is a possibility. There is always a possibility. And I think my favorite quote, which is on my website that I created, was, if I have acquired this, then I have the power to let this go.
And that's so true, isn't it?
Yeah, if I have acquired, and that's what I said about my thyroid issue. If I've acquired this, I wasn't born with it. If I've acquired this, then I can let this go as well. It's self-belief, isn't it?
It is. It is. So that's brilliant. So how can people get hold of you?
Okay, well, I'm on LinkedIn, as you know. I'm on Instagram. So LinkedIn and Instagram is where I'm most active. I do have a Facebook account as well, Rebalancing Life Naturally with Sadhna. Yes, they're the three main places.
Okay, so we'll put those links in the description and share them when I share the video anyway. So I think that's given a good overview of how you can help people, and certainly whatever you are, whether you're a sole business owner or a small business or a leader and a manager in a large organization, sometimes we just need balance, I think. And I think, you know, you can help with that. And if you've got some underlying health issues which are dragging you down, well, you're the person to talk to from the sound of it. So yeah, so that's brilliant. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you for inviting me. I've really loved this conversation. Thank you so much.